So we've got ourselves the Destined rivals. Now, they're always been quite interesting because it did come down a little bit, but now is it going back up? So we're going to go through it. We've obviously got Black and White, Black Bolt and White Flare coming out very, very soon in the next 6 days in English, finally. Obviously, the Japanese side has already been out for quite some time, and Mega Evolutions is on the horizon. Now, when we look at the box, obviously the graph is always interesting because these are all pre-sales. This is the hype, the scalpers, the flushing. Everybody's trying to sell it as much as possible, and naturally was going to go down a little bit. We saw the same with Journey Together, but now we're kind of seeing it potentially plateau a little bit. Now, obviously, we can make the graph look however we want. We can make it look horrendous. We can make it look marginal. We can make it look like it's kind of going down a pretty good road. Now, obviously, with Destined Rivals, with Journey Together, it's an interesting set. Being at a $240, $250 box, it's probably about where it should be at this point. At this hype market, I can imagine it will stay around this sort of level. Whether it goes back up now, Black and White is coming or veering its head in the near future. It's going to be interesting to see. But at the minute, we're seeing a lot of sales coming in at $250 for the box. Trying to get the box is not going to be easy. And obviously, we don't have no box toppers, so it is just one product as such. Now, obviously, that is going to be 36 on the limit. So really, that's going to be coming in at about £7 per, or $7 in fact, per booster pack from a booster box, which, to be honest, does normally have the best sort of weight in terms of what you kind of imagine. When we look at the half sleeve, obviously this is going to be 18 booster packs, which we're coming in at about $190. So again, very interested to see where this goes. Obviously, sales-wise, is very, very sporadic. I wouldn't even necessarily go too much into this, but if we was to look at this as the 18, you're looking at about $10.50 per pack. Not necessarily the greatest for per pack value, but obviously if this is the only place that you get it, what I would suggest, especially being in the English market, these are normally found in kind of like your convenience stores, in your kind of random sort of off licenses or something like that. You get a box of them. Normally they're coming in at about £4 per one, so you're getting 18 packs for what, £4 each. You're spending £72 on this, which in an American terms, you're looking at like what, $90 to $95, give or take. So in terms of value in MSRP, fantastic, like anything. We do then have the ETBs. Obviously with these, they are kind of coming down, going up. You're not going to find these under MSRP or MSRP really. You're going to have to find these online. And I would suggest now, unless you have not opened one up yet, I would imagine these are going to be sealed more so than anything. I wouldn't necessarily open these up as a cost. Like even if you saw these at $90, you got what, nine packs in each of them, I'm pretty sure, or is it eight? Nine packs in each of them. So again, you're looking at the $10 per pack. I'm just not a massive fan of these in general, and it's interesting with kind of like sealed products. Same with obviously the Pokemon Center. Love the box. I love that it's a change, but realistically, I am not opening this up. For 184, that is double the amount. Now, obviously, you've got to take into consideration the Pokemon Center card, whether that is worth it. But if you were opening it up specifically for the packs, you are spending $20 per pack here. Granted, like I say, you've got stuff inside that you could sell. It's just an interesting way. So that's kind of your sealed product. The next best is going to be the booster bundles, or at least what it is normally conceived at. You got $45 per one, and you're getting what, 6 booster packs per one. You're getting $7.50 per pack in these. So realistically, if you are looking from a sealed opening point of view, the booster bundles are going to be the best alongside the booster box. Now obviously the booster bundles, you're opening up far less, but you're taking less risk of not getting anything. Obviously only putting $45 in comparison to a booster box, you're putting in the $250. Now at the moment, booster packs themselves are coming in individually at 6 to 7. You kind of got 7.81, which is around about right, to be honest. So it's always interesting to see where it does go in general, but booster bundles are the interesting one. Now, what's kind of very interesting across the mark is the actual increase of the cards. That is something I didn't see happening anytime soon. Obviously, when you look at the top chase cards, we'll look through quite a few of them. You kind of saw this card specifically doing okay. I think this could have done so much better if it was Giovanni's Mewtwo. That really would have sold this card. But again, you kind of, the proof is literally, you can kind of see it going up. Now, obviously, actual sold, you're not seeing crazy amounts, so you've always got to bear with it in general. Obviously, then we go into kind of the Cynthia's Garchomp. You're seeing the same sort of fiend here. People are not being able to get this product. It's very, very difficult to find this at an MSRP. So people are holding. People are holding the sealed product and holding it to be able to kind of make it up that bit more. Now, obviously, with Cynthia's Garchomp, it's a very good card, to say the least. Now, an interesting part to kind of take into this, we'll have a look for a few more cards. For instance, Ethan's Ho-Oh, some will go down. Not necessarily saying that it's gone down loads, because we're looking at 150 to 140. That is not a big down. Like, even if you look at it at a 1 month, you look at it at a 6 month, it isn't that down of a kind of a portion. And even here, you kind of look and you see a lot of sporadics. Obviously, the damage don't really count too much, but you've got near mint going for 170, you got 140, 150, 175. There's a lot going in that moderate sort of level. And then even then, we look at the Moltres, another one that is in the climbing sort of variation. And now a month worth of data is not a lot of data. It's still climbing and going up. The hype will have to kind of die down, and we'll see where we can go from there with it. Obviously, then one of the last SARs is going to be the Nidoking. I absolutely love. I personally thought this could have been a card that really comes down in price, to be honest. It's a favourite Pokemon for some, but not the masses. Team Rocket over Giovanni. Again, over for some, not the masses. It's an interesting aspect that we've got here, because when we do look at, for instance, the Glory of Team Rocket set, I know it was split into two. When we do look at the highs and lows, we obviously see a lot of these still at a relatively decent price. We look specifically at this version. You go over the 6 month period, we can see it obviously dropping down $20-ish, which isn't a lot for the Japanese. So it is very interesting to see where this set truly goes, if it does hold a semi-decent value. Another great card in the Crobat. Obviously, again, not a fan favorite, more kind of in the very specific, unique niche, but I love the card art. The Golbat, the Crobat, the Zubat, all in one card is fantastic. Now, obviously, it's not necessarily been perceived crazy, but again, if you look from this absolute massive hype up here and you kind of go down, you think, okay, well, it went down in the 2 weeks very quickly, but then it stayed. It stayed in a certain level. We haven't gone down since. That's the big point of view from here, is not necessarily looking at this huge dip. We knew that there was going to be a dip in a lot of cards, and most definitely after the SARs was going to have a major dip. It's now looking at where we go from here. Same when we look at quite a lot of these special cards. We see a massive dip, but now we see a very interesting plateau. Maybe not an increase on a lot of them, definitely some of the higher rated cards, but it's interesting to see time and time again these cards take a huge one, 1995 down to the 50, but then we're still holding a good level. We've not continued that down to 30, 20, 10 pounds, dollars, what have you. It's a lot of these cards, and it's a good set. Now, obviously, some will go the opposite way. Definitely some of the gold cards, more of the harder cards to get, have definitely got up. But again, it's not necessarily crazy. It's going from 33 to 49. If you've seen this happen and thought I'd buy 100 here, yes, you've made a good move. Realistically, as many people done that, hindsight's a beautiful thing. Ethan's Adventure, another fantastic one. I managed to sell at 70, 80 pounds, has now dropped down to the 40, 50, but it's holding a good level. It's holding a good line. We've got it at 50. It's not terrible. It's definitely a good card, and I think in general, this card is a fantastic artwork. Cyndaquil, Slugma, Pichu, as well as Ethan being a favourite in the genre. Even the Team Rocket's Giovanni and all of the Team Rocket goons has managed to hold a semi-decent one and is slightly going up compared to others. Now, we're only looking at a $5 difference, but in a month, it's not bad after the massive downpour that we've seen. Ethan's Typhlosion, again, another one that is now more on the down because the hype is kind of dying from the card a little bit. So again, we're not going to get perfect across every single card, but it's an interesting one to see. Same with the Yanmega. I think this is another one in the SAR point of view, very much like the Volcanion. It's not the worst artwork. It's not necessarily crazy. It's not giving me a top £100, £200 card, but it's most definitely given me more than $20, $30 worth of value. Most definitely, it's sitting around that same sort of value as a Volcanion. So it'll be interesting to see in the next few months where it does go. We've obviously got more gold cards, seem to be a little bit more harder to get, obviously up and down on the value, and you can see how you can manipulate that, being like, oh, okay, it went all the way down to 28, and we saw a 31 increase. No, it's kind of plateauing. It's not necessarily going anywhere. It's sitting at the $30 mark. So this is where the interesting part goes. When we look at a Lapras, very much like Misty's Psyduck, we've hit that massive peak down. Is it a time to buy some of these cards? Are we going to see much more on the downwards trend? I would say when you're looking at an artwork like this, I'd say you're probably pretty safe. I think as a long point of view, Misty in general is going to do very well. Misty's Lapras and Psyduck is going to be fantastic. I don't know too much about Arven if he's going to have that sort of hype to be able to continue that. And to be honest, even with Mabastiff, is it a Pokemon that everybody wants? Granted, Lapras and Psyduck are not the most seeked after Pokemon, but in terms of a Misty's Psyduck, Misty's Lapras, that's where they are personally. And obviously as we do continue down, Team Rocket's Meowth, I think this card is so underrated. Coming in at 20, if you get this lower than 15, say, it's just a beautiful card. It works well in collections. It works well as a rocket. It's a fantastic one in my opinion that is worth looking at. Same with some of these full arts. I know full arts necessarily don't do incredible, and I must admit these are sort of the cards that I'd consider waiting a little bit longer just because we've got Team Rocket. Obviously Mewtwo's going to be a fan favorite Pokemon. I could see these still going down that little bit more. Obviously, then we go to another gold card. It's going to be an interesting one. When we go into the Mega Evolutions, we are basically going to get these in normal card full arts as well. Obviously, we've only seen these types, tools, items, supports in gold. Now we're going to see them in normal as well. More than likely, they're going to be the new, cheapest, ultra rare, special rare sort of variants. But we are seeing golds are always very difficult to get, so it's fair enough. Obviously then with another gold, we're starting to see a bit more of a value shift there, so they could be an interesting purchase to be able to put into your collection. Houndoom, another fantastic one, had the massive hype, died down by $12, $18, but now it's kind of sitting around the 18 to 20 mark at the moment. Again, going to be very interesting to see, but again, it's a lovely artwork. It's fantastic to see where it could go personally. We obviously see a lot more of these cards, and again, we could go after every single card. We are going to see the same pattern. We're going to see a downwards trend, and then we're going to see a bit more of an interesting kind of plunge. If we go down to some more of the cheaper cards, again, they're just doing it at a slightly different level. We're obviously seeing them from the kind of upwards vote. We saw, what, 18 down to 8. It's just a $10 difference. We go further down to kind of a Mukro. Again, we're going at 15. We're only down to 9. It's a $6 difference. It's holding its price pretty well. Again, here we're looking at 6 down to 4, 5, and they're holding. It's an interesting point of view to see if this is a time where we possibly do collect the Destined Rivals. I don't know how much we're going to see out for the next few weeks when we've obviously got Black and White in full swing. So it's going to be an interesting one that it is still going to be printed. Don't get me wrong. It's not going to be, this is it now for Destined Rivals. It's been out a month. Be very, very cautious with buying cards, but picking up some of the cheaper ones might not be a bad option at this point. It's kind of at a point where I'm like, I could actually pick up a few of these nice little ones and it could fill out my collection a little bit. I've gone to the wrong zone, but it could fill out the collection a little bit, and maybe even some of the big ones. Maybe looking at some of the kind of medium tier, maybe the Mewtwo and everything, you want to wait for it to cool down a little bit more. But when we look at these $3 cards, we look at the 5, 10, 15, they could be a really nice pickup at this point if you can get them cheap enough. Looking around your LGSs and seeing what they've got them priced at, it might not be a bad way to get yourselves back into a bit of Destined Rivals. Obviously, like I say, when we do go down to the kind of top 1 page, looking at the SARs, possibly a wait out for them. They're always interesting, but they are very expensive and they are going up at the moment. I could see them dropping a little bit more yet, so it will be an interesting point of view to kind of compare them to other sets as we go into this new era of Pokemon. So let me know down below what you think about Destined Rivals. Have you managed to get the Master Set? I don't think I'm much of the way through, to be honest, in terms of the percentage of my Destined Rivals. I am currently, I know I'm really close with the Journey Together, but Destined Rivals I have not managed to get. I am currently 56% of the way through a master set, so a long way to go. Let me know how you're getting on though. I'll catch you all for the next one. Peace.